Today we're flying into Heber Valley Airport, which I think is going to be one of my favorite. It's right by Park City, Utah, which is located on the east side of the mountains from Salt Lake. And it's a beautiful area, but it's an airport we've never been into. And when you add in the terrain, it can get fairly challenging. And when pilots feel challenged, especially in the pattern, sometimes they start to vary up their numbers, but without a really good reason. And when that happens, things start to fall apart. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to talk about flying our pattern in Heber Valley, but using our standard numbers for downwind, base, and final, making those turns at standard points, picking aiming and touchdown points that look standard to us, and then also give us enough distance to safely roll out on the landing. The entire point here is to try to adapt those numbers that we use at airports that we feel very familiar with, and then take them to an airport that feels more challenging to make a safe landing. This is a great part of our summer 2021 landings bootcamp. And if you look down below, you'll also find a link to buy our Mastering Takeoffs and Landings course, which during this bootcamp is 15% off. And when you pick up the course, not only do you get Mastering Takeoffs and Landings, but you get the bootcamp as well. Okay, let's jump into the plane.
Heber Valley traffic, Cirrus 216 Bravo Delta. We're about 5 miles to the southeast over the Daniels Pass Road. We're going to overfly Heber Valley at or above 7,100 Heber Valley traffic. Okay, we definitely got the train made now. Yep. Got the segmented circle?
I do, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put the segmented circle off your left. You know, 7,100 would put us 500 above the pattern altitude, though we don't have to be all the way down to 7,100 when we cross here. And honestly, I want to try to keep the engine warm as I'm descending over this train, so I'm not in a super race to get down. Instead, I'm just going to allow the aircraft to descend here at about 700 feet a minute, put that segmented circle well off Collins' side of the wing. If you listen to the weather, it's telling us that the wind's a good crosswind, but still favoring runway 4. So I'm expecting to see that, but I'd like to take a look at the windsock as well. It also puts us in a good position to enter the left traffic for runway 4 here, flying over.
Just start to make out the windsock now.
Heber Valley traffic, Cirrus 216 Bravo Delta is crossing over the approach end, runway 22, 7,600 descending. We're going to continue here to the northwest to descend and then enter a midfield runway 4, Heber Valley.
Okay, so look at the windsock and it looks like exactly what they're saying. Left to right crosswind, but definitely favoring runway 4.
Okay. So we're just going to maneuver away. We got a nice sized valley here that we can kind of set up our entry in. Say we're about clear of that pattern, so I'll set 6,600, which is my pattern altitude. Engine's warming up again now as we slow our descent down and as our airspeed slows down. And we don't want to be maneuvering super fast here, because that just increases our turn radius, right? About 500 above pattern right now. And you can feel the winds inside this mountain area a little bit. So I've started my right turn to set myself up for a 45 entry to the left downwind, runway 4. Got a lot of room in here now to continue my descent down to 6,600. I can keep it nice and wide to make sure I'm on my midfield downwind. So I enter right at that 45. I'm leveling out now at traffic pattern altitude and just slightly above my normal speed. I've got my power pretty far back as I finish this descent. I'll be ready to add it in as I level off. And this airplane, about 40% power, with their flaps currently at 50%, should give me 100 knots, which is my standard downwind power setting and speed. That's 100 knots, so here comes the power back to about 40%. We're right at 6,600. Heber Valley traffic, Cirrus 216 Bravo Delta is entering a left midfield runway 4, Heber Valley.
Got a little sink
A little
here.
sink here. That's to be expected in the mountains. You're going to end up with a little bit of that. Heber Valley traffic, Cirrus 216 Bravo Delta, left midfield downwind, runway 4, Heber Valley. Okay, I'm on left downwind, and while I've had to make some pitch and power adjustments on my descent in, the air here is pretty smooth, and I haven't had to make any adjustments yet on downwind. Okay, that's being my touchdown point. Well, I got a little bump there from the wind, that's okay. And we can actually see I got quite a bit of lift, so I'm going to probably a little thermal or something, or wind, so I'm going to bring my power back a little further than normal today. Okay, that's about 45. Flaps down to full, mixture's rich. Heber Valley traffic, Cirrus 216 Bravo Delta, turning left base, runway 4, Heber Valley. Okay, final's clear. I'm going to lead my turn in because we do have a crosswind. Heber Valley traffic, Cirrus 216 Bravo Delta's turning. Final, runway 4, Heber Valley. And I'm in some sinking air, so I've got my power slightly higher than normal. Feel those winds here, can't we?
Yeah, you sure can.
Remember a left to right crosswind we figured, right? And there's a thermal. My altitude and my airspeed are slightly high, so I'm going to bring my power back. Yaw dampers off, speed's back where we want it. Keep her right on that center line there. Transition into my slip. Speed's looking really good. Bring my throttle to idle here.
Nice.
We're down.
Good weeds coming off.
Feel that left wheel touch down before the right, definitely, didn't it?
Definitely got a good 1, 2, 3 there.
Okay, we can take the Alpha 4 turn off here.
Well, I think that worked out exactly like we planned that it would, right? We came down Daniels Pass, used 50% flaps to keep my indicated airspeed a little bit slower, which means less cooling, and I could keep my power higher, which meant I was keeping that engine warm, all getting about the same descent rate, and we could follow that terrain on down. We wanted to cross a pattern 500 feet above the pattern elevation, right? So the pattern's altitude, 6,600 feet, add 500 onto that, that's 71. So we want to be at or above 7,100 feet MSL. We crossed above that, which is fine, right? About, I'd say 400 to 500 feet above that. We put the segmented circle out on the left side so Colin could clearly see the windsock, and he could see that it was favoring runway 4. So we couldn't use that calm wind runway, and we had a left to right crosswind, and all of that matched what we heard over the radio when we listened to the weather. So we were already pretty well set up, right? We continued out to the northwest. After we were clear of the pattern, we allowed ourselves to descend below 7,100 feet and then started a nice wide right turn to line up for a long 45-degree midfield downwind entry. When we rolled out, we were right at our pattern altitude and right at our pattern speed. And so we set our normal pattern power setting. Now I know I'm going to have to bracket that. That normal's not going to work out long because we've got a lot of surface heating, which means you have thermals, and then outside of them, maybe stable air, but possibly some sink. Plus the variable winds in this mountain valley, that means you're going to get updrafts and downdrafts. The secret is knowing your normal, your no thermal power settings and airspeeds for each one of your legs. Because then you can just bracket. You fly into a thermal, okay, now you have some lift. So you're going to take your power back from your normal setting to maintain that normal indicated airspeed. As you leave that thermal, you may end up in stable air. So you're going to bring your power back to normal. If you end up in some sink, then your power will go back above normal. The key is know where your normal setting is and know what that normal airspeed should be. Pitch for the airspeed, power to handle those thermals or those updrafts and downdrafts. That way you are not chasing the airplane. And that's something we really stress in mastering takeoffs and landings. Okay, I'm really glad we came here. I've never been here before, and I would easily say Heber Valley is one of the most beautiful airports I've been to. I'd put it on par with Aspen or Telluride. They got a great FBO. It was a cool little trip, and I hope to come back. And I think for a lot of people, there are airports, not necessarily mountainous airports, but airports around them that they'd like to go to, especially now. We've all been locked up for a while. The challenges for a lot of people, flying into an unfamiliar airport, it just feels a little daunting, right? How do you enter the pattern? How do you cross over the airport and set yourself up? How do you just fly the pattern visually? And where do you go afterwards? So that's why we're dropping our summer 2021 landings boot camp. So this will focus on how to go into airports you've never been to before, both towered and non-towered, and how to handle that summer weather. Most of it is way better than winter, right? No more ice, no more snow. But you do have thermals, which means bumpy patterns, more challenging power changes in the pattern. And then we're going to have some variable winds, everything from light winds that go to gusts, winds that are switching direction constantly because of that localized surface heating, which is really a big thing in the summer. So that's what that covers. And if you already own Mastering Takeoffs and Landings, it automatically has appeared under your courses for free. If you don't have Mastering Takeoffs and Landings, this is a fantastic time to sign up, because if you sign up during this summer 2021 promotion, you'll get that boot camp absolutely free. It'll automatically appear in your courses. And if you pick it up on the web, it always comes with that 30-day money-back guarantee. If you have any questions, you can always give us a call. Chances are you're going to probably reach Colin on the phone, or you can send us an email. We've got a link down below that you can click to sign up. Again, for me, I'm excited to get back out and travel. It's something that I haven't done a lot. I've been flying, but all in the local area, just out of Rocky Mountain Metro. And it seems everywhere I go, things are really spinning back up. The key to really enjoying that is to feel confident. I think everybody knows passengers remember the landings the most. Even though, as pilots, we know there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it, the landings kind of really make the difference. And that can make flying somewhere a little bit nervous. I think the secret is to building knowledge. Whether you're flying a 172 or an SR-22 or a Baron, understanding the principles of what's happening, both in normal weather and then in summer weather, that makes it much easier to react to the airplane so that you're staying well ahead of it and you know what to expect and how to change your power, how to change your pitch, how to adapt to those weather conditions. That not only makes you more proficient, but it makes you much more confident. And honestly, that's what makes flying fun. So we've got a link to sign up down below, and we'll see you in that summer 2021 boot camp.